are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Maureen.
Are
Thanks for
you?
having me. Yeah, I really am.
Well, tell me about that in the middle of a pandemic.
Honestly, I am embracing this kind of pause moment. And, you and I have talked about this before as an extrovert, as somebody that gets their energy from the energy of other people. I'm honestly surprised at how well I'm doing with this. But I'm in a unique position in that as of yesterday, last night, our house has 10 adults and 2 dogs living in it. So it's certainly not quiet, and it's certainly not alone or lonely.
Right.
We've got energy here. And so I think that's what's helping us get through it. And in addition to that, I'm just been so impressed by the people that I'm surrounded with as well in this house and how they're making the best of this very bizarre situation. I'm inspired by them, and I'm loving what I'm seeing.
What are you seeing?
I'm seeing resilience. I'm seeing the ability to take lemons and make lemonade. I'm seeing a mental shift to doing life differently. Let me explain some of those things. So first of all, who lives here? This is my family, my husband, myself, and our now 3 sons who are all adults, 18, 22, and 24, and 2 of their girlfriends. So that's 7 of us upstairs. And a few years ago, we rented out our lower level to a retired couple. And so they are living in the lower level suite of our house, and they have an adult son that's also living with them at this time too, because our kids were all laid off. They don't have anywhere else to go. Their son was also laid off. He works up north as a welder, and the camps were shut down. So he's home as well. So we've got a lot of people here. So that's 10 of us all together. We have a dog, large hairy beast, and our son and his girlfriend have a large hairy beast as well. So that's a lot of energy in this place. Okay, so that's who lives here. Now, what do I see in terms of resilience? I'm going to just explain to you who is everybody. Our oldest son's name is Jacob, and he is still working at an auto body supply store, so that's considered essential. His girlfriend, Jamie, was laid off because she worked in the restaurant industry. It was one of the first things to get shut down during the pandemic. And she did not just sit around and mope and wait to collect her EI. She still has bills to pay. She still has car insurance that has to be paid. She still has car payments. She's in student loan debt up to her eyeballs because she's a recent graduate. So what did she do? She started an Etsy store and a Facebook marketplace store. And she is one of the many now people making fabric masks.
Yes, and I've ordered some and I can't wait to get them.
I'm really glad that you're supporting her. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I so admire that.
I do too. I really do. I am just in awe of these young people and their ability to just, bob and weave and shift and make it work. Because it's not only just sitting down at a sewing machine and making masks, it's marketing yourself. It's starting these Etsy stores and eBay stores. It's getting all the systems in place to send these all over the world. And I'm not kidding you. She's sending them all over the world. She sent them to France. Yesterday, she had a box full of them to go all over the United States because with Etsy, the world is your market.
That's cool, eh?
It's really cool. Yeah, I'm really impressed. And our son Jacob has done the same thing. He started an eBay store. He already had one, but now it's really ramping up. People are shopping online. They're stuck at home. What are they doing? They're looking at the computers and they're looking at their projects that have been sitting idle for a long time. And they're wondering, oh, maybe I'll pick that up again. Yeah. So he's selling car parts, and he's doing fantastic with that as well. Again, they can do that during a pandemic from home.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, they've got you and Dean as examples of entrepreneurial spirit as well. Don't sell yourself short. It's not just the
No,
younger generation. Your whole family is
that's fair.
great at this, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
see a need,
So
get up, do something, take your expertise, share it. What, you know, how can I? And you just do it.
yeah, I've learned a lot about myself though too during this,
Yeah.
as we all have,
Yeah.
and that a lot of that entrepreneurial spirit causes a lot of stress,
Mm.
because I feel like I'm never doing enough, and
Yeah.
this, oddly enough, feels like free time, like a gift, like
Yes.
given time. Who gets time, right?
Yeah.
I'm not doing enough with it, and I'm going to run out of it, and it's going to be over, and I'm not going to have everything done that I wanted to do. So there's this self-imposed stress that I'm creating, and I'm realizing that's all me. That's
Yeah. I
something
get
that
it.
I'm going to have to realize. You don't. That's not external. That's totally internal.
You know, I'm feeling the same way. And it's
Hmm.
hilarious because I'm setting my own deadlines
Right.
and I'm feeling huge pressure from them.
Huge pressure.
Yeah. I'm like, so stressed because I haven't got this edit done and sent off. And I'm like, Maureen, relax. It's an artificial deadline. Nobody else is waiting on this. But at the same time, I don't know, it keeps me going. Like I, I, I don't, I couldn't just sit.
Yes. And at the same time, it really is a gift. It
It
really is
is,
a
it
gift to
really
be able
is.
to do some of these things that we wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do. And you're right. Like Dean and I are not working at all. We're corporate trainers. That's how you and I know each other.
Yeah.
And our company, Dash Academy, has now a grand total of 0 clients,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the first things to go is face-to-face interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And we love being in the classroom. So we've transitioned a tiny smidge of our work to online
Mm-hmm.
facilitation, but that's not where our passion is, and that's not where our gifting is. So,
Mm-hmm.
so now we've had to make a real shift. So now what do we do with that?
Mm-hmm.
But we're teachers at heart.
Yes.
We are teachers at heart, and I know we've known that for a long time. So Dash Academy is making a shift to a YouTube channel.
Ah, very good.
Now, yeah, so, and it's going to be a training YouTube channel, but it's on training on the things that we love to do, fun stuff, projects that we're taking on, things that um, that we didn't have time to do before. So we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes.
And you guys both have formal education in adult education and training and facilitation.
We do.
Yeah,
Yes.
like fancy credentials.
Stop it.
Fancy people. You were to school in Boston, hey?
Yeah. So many years ago, Dean and I packed up our life here in Calgary, and we borrowed a truck and rented a U-Haul trailer and drove across the United States and landed in Boston, well, Cambridge, Massachusetts, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Dean was accepted at MIT,
yeah.
and I think he's the very first, if not only, SAIT graduate to be accepted as a transfer student at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So he took his credit from SAIT, and they accepted that as transferable at MIT. And he finished his undergraduate degree and then went on to complete 2 graduate degrees at MIT after that. So that was really a really cool experience. And then I applied for a university in the same area. I was right downtown Boston,
Yeah.
and went to grad school there, and did a 1 year. I just fast tracked it because somebody had to pay the bills while Dean was in university as well. A 1 year full on master's degree in business and adult education.
Yeah.
And that's been my path ever since.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
And you both facilitate now, and that's where we met.
Yeah.
Co-facilitate, like not co-facilitating, but both as facilitators of business and leadership programs at SAIT, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I hope that we do get to co-facilitate some
I
things
hope so
soon.
too. I
Yeah.
think we'd have so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
and we've worked together a little bit, you know, doing some curriculum development, and certainly you've done some editing for me, which I really appreciate because you are a writer.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm poking at you a little bit. You do have something going on though, like writing wise, do you not?
Yeah, well, I teach the business communication courses and the business writing for results courses. I
Yeah.
love to write. Um, I haven't written a book yet,
You have a
but
book in you.
I do have a book in me, but it hasn't come out yet. I have lots of ideas, and I have
Yeah.
some, I guess, short stories on our
Okay.
website
Yes.
based on lessons learned through travel
Yes.
and adventure.
Yes.
So that I found just really fun in the midst of it. So I'll write when it's fun, when it's right.
Yes, I remember reading your blog. So you guys
Mm,
did like a world tour with your
yeah.
kids and you blogged as you went. And your writing was beautiful.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. I have to say, when you're writing, like, just flows out of you and it's easy, then it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But when it becomes laborious and hard and you're really struggling with it, then I had to step back and take a rest from it. And that's why the book hasn't come out yet,
Mm.
because I found it too much of a struggle. It's too much in my head. So we'll see. When it starts to just flow out, then there could be something else. But yeah, jumping back to the writing and the blog, that was totally inspired by that running away from home for a year.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago now, I think we packed up our life and rented out our house, sold our cars, kijiji'd all our crap, pulled our kid out of school. He was in the 9th grade at the time. And we bought a round the world ticket and we packed 3 backpacks and set off for a year.
You guys are adventurers.
I think the model was set for us by our parents, though, too. Um, I remember when I was about 12, my mom and dad did the exact same thing
Hmm.
with our family. So I knew it could be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that that year of life, when we had that enormous change, is the most memorable of my childhood. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to gift our children with those same memories. And I think we did.
And what was the best thing about that trip?
What was the best thing about the trip?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the best thing about the trip, I think, was everything we owned was for me, a 26-pound backpack.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any desire to add weight to that pack. So, as a matter of fact, I think I took too much. And it was just the realization of how little you need to get by, to enjoy life, um, to just be unencumbered and free
Yes.
and go. And that you can do it. That was, I think, one of the gifts from it too, is that people say, oh, I could never do something like that. Or you're so adventurous and you're so wild and that's just so out of my comfort zone. You can, anybody can. Like
Yeah.
it takes planning.
Yeah.
It takes sacrifice.
Yeah.
But it's doable. Anything is doable if you set your
Anything is
mind to
doable.
it.
Mm-hmm. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't need much to get by. So
Mm-hmm.
how have you taken like so that was sort of the best thing about the trip is learning that.
Mm-hmm.
And so how have you carried that forward for the last like 2 or 3 years? What have you done with that?
Well, when we came home, we decided that, um, as I mentioned, we live in a large house. We wanted to just share. We wanted to share
Mm-hmm.
resources. We wanted to pare down a little bit. We didn't want to get sucked back into that vortex of stuff and materialism. And Calgary really does have that mentality. And the more you travel, the more you realize that that's definitely a culture that exists here. And it doesn't exist a lot of other places. So that's why we gave up half our house.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need that space, but we thought, I love the concept of shared economies and
Mm.
sharing things, sharing space. So that's why we have 10 people living in our house right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
We share it. No. Oh, you know, we have one car that we share. I don't know. Just, it's not simpler. It's certainly not a simple life, but it's definitely different than it looked before we left.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely different.
Yeah. And so here we are then in pandemic where things are pretty simple,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? My life. And that's what I think about with this pandemic. I like how simple everything is now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thriving and I live alone.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what is one thing that you want people to remember during this time?
You know, I keep hearing people say, I want to go back to the normal. I can't wait till things go back to normal. I hope we never go back to normal. I don't think normal was working. And I think that we've had this unique opportunity to push pause and
Mm-hmm.
really reflect on recreating what life can look like after this. There's so many cool stories that are coming out of this. People are sitting around with their kids, they're enjoying one another. I've heard some people say, oh, this is what it was like to be a parent. I had nannies and I had caretakers and they were at school all day. And, you know, I'd see them for a couple of hours a day, but I wasn't actually parenting them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really cool people. I like them. I don't want them to leave now. I don't want them to go back to, I don't want to go back to the way things were. And I agree with that. Yeah, it's hard. It's stressful. You don't get a break, but I don't think we should go back to the way things were. I think we need to rest more,
Yeah.
not be so busy. I had this epiphany the other day. I was thinking about stress and rest and how you can't have rest, stress without rest.
And vice versa.
Yeah. The words intertwine.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. You're such a
Yeah.
wordsmith. You're a wordsmith.
I
See,
love words. I
there you
love
are.
words. And I thought, we just need to, I don't know if embrace is the right word. I don't like that word right now, but it's give ourselves permission to rest,
Yeah.
which I didn't do before.
So what will you take forward? Have you, I'm sure you've thought about, so as we come out of this and our freedoms are restored, what will you do differently? What will you keep?
Well, I'm going to steal something from our middle son, Mason.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote very beautifully, just a passage, I think it was on Facebook or something like that, a post, let's call it, about one of the lessons that he had learned. And he said, self-isolation was hard and it felt unproductive. And he just, without thinking, grabbed his camera and went out and started to take photographs. And from 6 feet away, a woman interacted with him and said, it's interesting that you grabbed a camera and you went out to try and seek beauty. That's maybe where your passion lies. So paying attention to the things that you're doing to, I don't know, fill your time and spend more time doing those things. Like, what is it that you're passionate about? I mean, I've got some things that are weighing down on my shoulder, like curriculum development. You and I've talked about that before.
Yes. Yes.
That I'm just dreading. And I feel like if I could just get it done, then I would have that weight lifted off my shoulder. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I want to focus on the fun stuff that I'm finding to do now. So I'm renovating our, we have like a camper, a trailer,
Mm-hmm.
and demolished it, ripped it apart, and videoing the whole thing. And I'm going to do a YouTube channel on the managing that particular project and the design elements. And so, that's what I'm passionate about. I can't wait to get out there and do that.
Yeah.
And coming up with cool ideas for episodes for a YouTube channel. Really cool. Like, I would rather do anything than some of the stuff that I consider work now. So that's what's really waking me up a little bit. Do the stuff that you love and figure out what feeds you, what fuels you.
Which when I look at your Dash Academy website that's all in there.
Mm.
Meaning, for the pursuit of meaning, right? The pursuit of joy and meaning is what happens between the two dashes, right? That you described.
Absolutely.
And so here you are with the opportunity to re-examine that for yourself, and where you may have lost that and where you're now finding it. And I'm going to use all my psychic abilities here and predict the future. And I'm going to say, I think
Mm.
that there might be some writing in here for you.
Mm.
I wonder if maybe, when you talk about writing from a place of joy and when it sparks and when it flows, and I think that you are unearthing some themes because you're a theme writer,
Mm.
right? I see you pull threads of theme through your writing, and I would be willing to bet there's going to be maybe some pandemic blogging.
I do hope that there's something there. Yeah, I do hope that there's something there. It's interesting when you talk about Dash, our Dash Academy website. I went and looked at it too, and our tagline is training that matters. Don't waste another minute of time doing things that don't matter.
Yes.
Right? And so all of my blog posts were something that matters. Right? Marriage matters. Fitness matters. Pack what matters.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some of the other ones, but you can go on and look at them, but everything was matters. And that was stolen directly from the line of the poem out of the Dash, which is one of the 3 reasons we named our company Dash, was based on that poem by Linda Ellis called The Dash.
Yes.
And there's a line in that poem that says, "What matters is how you live and love and how you spend your dash."
Yes.
Matters. So that's where Training That Matters came from. So Dash, another reason that we named the company Dash Academy was out of writing. Dash is a punctuation mark.
Yeah.
And it helps your readers to find their way through your writing when you use great punctuation. And what does a dash indicate? A dash indicates an abrupt shift in thought. And I think that's what Training That Matters should do too, is change the way you think. I'm going to give you some extra information. It's going to change the way you think. That's what matters to me. So that's Dash.
So here we are in a dash, right? We're in a dash. We're in like the dash of the pandemic, and an abrupt change in the way that you think.
An abrupt change. Absolutely.
What's the biggest abrupt change in the way that you're thinking about the world right now?
I think people are really realizing how important other people are to them.
Speak from first person on that one.
Speak from first person. I am really realizing how important my connections are, how important people are to me.
Yes.
And I am really enjoying interactions like this.
Yeah.
This wouldn't have happened.
No.
This would not have happened. I wouldn't be FaceTiming with my mom every day if this had not happened. I wouldn't have Zoom parties with my girlfriends on Friday nights. And there's just something so special about this. There's no other distractions. It's just us in conversation.
Yeah, face to face.
Yeah.
I know it's through Zoom, but it's actually works. Like it feels face to face for me.
Me too. And there's something too about looking at one another's faces as well. I get excited when I'm on a webinar and all the faces start to pop up on the screen, or when I'm in a Zoom party and I haven't seen, face to face these people now for, we're going on 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just there's something so different about not just hearing their voices, but looking in their eyes and seeing their faces.
It's really interesting when you talk about that, thinking about who and what connections are so valuable to you, and what do you not normally make time for in under that title that you are now, right? That's the gift of this, right? If you're reevaluating, what I need versus what I was doing, what gives me joy and energy versus what I was actually spending my time doing before. And
Mm.
I'm reconnecting with friends that I went to high school with. There's a whole group of us, that have known each other since we were 13, that they all live in Ontario, and Steve and I moved out here to Alberta, and now we're doing weekly Zooms.
I love that.
It's so nice.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. Like, there's a whole group of friends from junior high that are on WhatsApp together. Our entire book club has a text chat going, and we're constantly updating that throughout the day. I didn't do that before. And then, like, for family too, we have a Facebook Messenger group that everybody is connecting on throughout the day, because we're spread out all over the place, and we didn't do that either.
No, and I think there's a couple things going on. One is, I know that it's easy to schedule because everyone's home.
Mm-hmm.
So the opportunity, like the availability of people, is it's predictable right now. I know, like, it's easy to schedule. It would have been a nightmare to schedule something like this 3 months ago. It's easy
Yeah.
now because we're all home. And the other is when you ration things, right? Like human contact, you get really clear really quickly on which ones you want.
What's precious?
Yeah. So that's been,
Mm-hmm.
there is no ability to just go out and drive, or like, I think about the amount of time I wasted before commuting places
Yeah.
to have coffee when we could have done this. Now, there is something to be said for going outside, but I mean, I'm more intentional about going outside even. I make sure that I spend time outside in the sun every day. I don't know that I did that before. I probably just got some sun as I went to my car, but I don't
Yeah.
know,
I
man.
mean, gratitude for those little things like going outside.
Yeah,
Um, I get excited when I have to run an errand.
I know.
I do get a little anxious though, to be honest with you. I feel like the rules have changed so much in terms of being out in public that I'm not sure if I'm keeping up with the rules. So there is a little anxiety. And, I went to, we're going to do our Easter dinner tonight. So I went to Superstore yesterday just to stock up on a few things for it to make Easter dinner. And there was some anxiety that I realized as I was going through that I hadn't felt before.
Mm-hmm.
I wear my mask. I would say a good probably 20 to 30% of people now are wearing masks in
Mm-hmm.
public.
Yes.
A lot of people are wearing gloves, whether, what that's their comfort zone. You can't judge what other people are doing to make themselves feel comfortable. But then there's arrows in the aisles, and I'm feeling like, oh man, I just want to duck in and grab that thing, but I can't. I have to go all the way around and follow the lines, and I don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. So I'm dodging and weaving and bobbing, and there's just this palpable anxiety that's in the air with
There is, and I
the
wonder
new
the longer,
rules.
yeah, the new rules, and they are changing all the time, right? And so I think about when I've moved to a new city or a new place, there is that sort of underlying anxiety that you're describing happens all the time because you don't know where you're going, how to get there. Nothing's routine, right? So you can't relax. And so I think I'm hoping that that's all that this is, right? It's just an anxiety that comes with being on your toes a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about what's okay right now and what's not okay, and is this 6 feet away or am I 5.5 feet? And so what happens for me when I go out is that I feel that anxiety from myself and from other people, and it makes me a little bit sad because I'm like, oh, we're all so nervous of each other. But I think a lot of what's going on is, yeah, we're nervous of each other. But I think a lot of what's also going on is that we're just sort of on edge a little bit, trying to learn the new rules, right? Where can I go? Could I go down this aisle? Oh no, I got to turn around and go back down to the other aisle. And, like there's that sort of just newness that we're trying to learn
I
too.
think that's absolutely right. I haven't found anybody, rude or inconsiderate. I think that's what it is. It's this heightened level of courtesy and consideration for others is what I'm noticing, and I feel it.
Yeah.
I don't want to make anyone else feel uncomfortable, so I'm really trying to follow these new rules. And when I say anxiety, I don't. It's not over the top or anything like that.
No.
It's
I get
just
what
an
you're saying.
awareness, like that I never had before.
Yeah,
That
you're just
ease.
you're spending some energy on stuff that used to be, you know, without thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I
But
go to
then
the grocery
again,
store?
I'm so excited that I get to, we're cooking more and we're spending more time sitting around the dinner table and we're playing games and
Yeah.
we're helping one another with these business ideas and new ventures that we're on. We're puzzling. And that's really fun. We're picking up old projects and hobbies that have been put aside for a long time. I see people, some of the other really great things that I see, and I've rearranged the office and my furniture 3 times now.
Yeah.
The furniture in my office 3 times now.
Yeah.
And it's good, but I switched it so that I could look out my office window, and I'm watching families with adult children go for walks every day.
Nice.
That I've never seen before. I've barely seen my neighbors out until this happened. And now intentionally, like you said, they're getting out and they're spending time with their families on walks. They didn't do that before.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's fabulous. That's what I mean. I hope that doesn't change. I hope we learn to appreciate little things like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what falls away, you know, when we get the busyness back, right? Yeah. And the going out and doing things. And, you know, I was thinking how, gosh, I just feel so lucky, honestly, to like, here I sit in all my hardship during the pandemic on my down sofa with every entertainment possible, accessible to me. You know what I've been thinking about doing is using this time as almost a retreat, because it is a somewhat of a retreat, but I find myself being busy, like making myself busy, like we described, right? The artificial deadlines. Not just that, but also with media. So I've always got a podcast going, or the news on, or an audio book, or the TV, or, you know, I've always got something running to keep my mind occupied. And I've started, you know, since I did one of my podcasts, I think it was number 4, was with Matt Lansadell, and Matt talked a lot about stillness and acceptance. And I've been thinking about his words and thinking about, oh, I wonder if I shut everything down for a day or two at a time, even once a week, and just spent time with my own heart and my own thoughts, what would emerge there. And I'm almost nervous.
I get that.
/ excited. Like, that's what I'm contemplating doing anyway. Thinking about this time, I'm like, this would be the perfect time to do it.
It would. But I mean, any time would be the perfect time to do it. But
well, less logistics to it now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here. I mean, even just the courage to not have media on.
Yeah. That is weird that we use that type of language around it, that takes courage.
Right? Well, because and I think because I'm on this kick, I'm fascinated with this show right now called Alone. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
Have you watched it?
Yes.
Have you watched all of the seasons?
No, I've watched individual episodes.
Fascinating. Because it really is, it's a survival show, for those of you who don't know. They take 10 people and they drop them off out in the wilderness all alone, and they have to film themselves surviving for, you know, an indeterminate amount of time. Last person wins. And the things that take them out typically has nothing to do with survival, usually. Like, I would say maybe 50-50. A lot of what takes a lot of people out is their own minds, right? Having to get still and be just by themselves. So I'm finding it gripping on like this, watching it. Oh, how would I do?
Yeah, a lot of because they do little video logs as they're out there. and a lot of their musings are about missing people, missing family, missing one another. And I do think that as humans, that we're social, we're creatures of
But they're
community.
not, I agree with you, but they're not gone that long. So what I
Some of
think
them are up to like 50 or 60 days, aren't they?
they are, but I think what they're really missing is the distraction from themselves.
Mm. Ooh, I get that.
And the way that they rationalize it is to say that, I love my wife. I feel her calling me. I need to go home now. Well, your wife's fine, I would be willing to bet. Um, what you miss is someone to pull you outside of yourself, um, because being alone is very, very hard because we don't learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what's got me fascinated in thinking about um, trying during the pandemic.
That doesn't appeal to me at all.
No. Have you ever thought
No.
about doing, well, as an extrovert, it wouldn't, but I mean,
Yeah.
and so what about, have you ever thought, like when someone says to you, I went on a silent retreat, what do you think?
I do have friends that have gone on like 10-day silent retreats and 3-week silent retreats. Um, Not for me. That's what
I
I
think,
think.
as me too, I think
I think not for me.
that sounds like hell to me too.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, my sister-in-law went on a silent retreat here in Calgary, and I thought she was. I mean, she really does do a lot of inner work, and she's very evolved. And I thought, this is even out there for her though, like really weird. And when she first got there, this is her lesson. When she said she first got there, she hated it. She said, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Get me out of here. And she was, cheating and texting and trying to, like, what the fuck? Like, help, get me out of here. And then as the days went on, she got into it. And she said when she left, she didn't want to speak. When she came out of it, it's not like it was all pent up and she was like, oh, and she wanted to speak to everybody. She didn't want to speak at all. She didn't want to
Interesting.
talk about it. So it definitely took a while, but she got there and it was really interesting. And I think people that have done it want to go back and do it again. So at first, yeah, really, really hard. Like anything, it's a discipline. It takes practice to get used to that,
Mm-hmm.
but then it'll come. I
Mm.
still don't have any desire to do that at
Mm.
this juncture, but never say never. That's my motto. Never say never. You never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
Yeah.
So you've got this YouTube channel going.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get it going anyway.
What's
I've
it called?
been doing filming. Okay. So we're playing with names because it's really important, I think, to get the name right for searchability, but also to find sort of your niche market. And I don't want to just, keep rebranding all of the time. So I think it's important to get it right. Dash Academy, of course, we already have our Instagram, our Facebook, our website. So Dash Academy is going to be in there somewhere. So it could be Dash Academy Projects, could be Dash Academy Presents, could be Dash Stories. Not sure.
I like Dash Academy Presents.
Dash Academy Presents. And I think it's going to be different how-to videos, different training on just cool projects that we're doing. Like we're renovating this trailer, but we're not only just renovating the trailer, we're renovating the trailer because we want to have a small fleet of campers now. This is weird, I know.
No, this is great. Let's hear it.
Because we have an Airbnb. We love sharing, again, that vacation property with other travelers and adventurers. And we thought, let's rent out camper vans and motorhomes and bumper pull trailers as another extension of that.
Cool.
So I want to make them special though. So it's not just your regular camping experience. There's something special. There's a little bit of a surprise on the inside when you rent one of our campers. And I do think that there's going to be a market for that because
Oh yeah.
we're all stuck in our houses, but we're not going to be flying. We have no money. We're going to be, I think, shifting back to like what we did when we were kids. What did you do for a holiday? Went on a car ride or went camping with your family,
It's true.
right? My mom and dad never took us to Thailand
Yeah. But you
for
went and
spring break.
traveled. You traveled for a year, though, it sounds like.
Yeah,
But yeah, I get what you're saying. We got stuck in the back of a Buick and
yeah,
driven for 12 hours a day and camped
right.
on a beach at night. Right. That's what
So
we
I
did.
think we're going to be shifting back. I'm anticipating that we're going to be shifting back to that type of paradigm where, for a little while anyway, we're going to travel close to home, but we're still going to want to get out. So we'll have a couple of trailers that we're going to rent on. There's a couple of really cool websites now, similar to Airbnb, but for recreational vehicles. And the one that I'm interested in is a Canadian company called RV Easy. And so RV Easy will have our listings, and we'll have our YouTube channel, Dash Academy Presents, and that will promote the campers and the RVs that we're renovating and
I think that's
HGTVing.
such a cool idea because I mean, I've thought for years I would love to rent a camper
Mm-hmm.
and drive across Canada and never have done it, partly because I don't like what I've seen available camper wise
Mm-hmm.
commercially, and haven't looked beyond that. But I mean, if something like what you're describing was available, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, we want to make them unique, super comfortable, easy to deal with, so that people that are not campers per se or haven't grown up doing that could easily transition into that.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it a test drive.
Mm-hmm.
Don't invest in a big recreational vehicle. Just borrow one
Yeah.
and give it a shot. Give it a try. I think it's going to be fun. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul.
Have you heard about the company in town? There's an RV company in Calgary that, or no, maybe it isn't in Calgary. I think it is though, that has loaned some of their campers to healthcare workers
Yes.
who don't want to go home, who can't go home because of high risk families.
Yeah, that's actually there's been an interesting twist too. So this website that I was talking about, RV Easy, when you go on it right now, the listings will say emergency shelter ready. So you can
Wow.
actually put your campers or your vans or your motorhomes up as emergency shelters too. So
What a cool
um,
idea.
it's a really cool idea. And Airbnb has done the same thing. So as I mentioned, when we came back from our trip,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to share resources. So we have an Airbnb, and Airbnb's done the same thing. So they can be used as emergency shelters as well.
Hmm.
And they've really, transitioned to meet the needs of people during the pandemic.
Hmm. That's very, very cool.
It's really cool. Yeah.
So is there anything in particular that you want to promote through this podcast that you're guesting on right now?
Let me see. Well, I definitely want to promote Dash Academy, training that matters, and that whole concept of don't waste a minute more of your time doing things that don't matter to you.
Mm-hmm.
Finding purpose and meaning in life, and taking this opportunity to pause, reflect, and don't go back to normal. Do things better, be
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do, we try and improve. So yeah, we're changers, but we also are always looking for ways to improve things. So whether it's been through construction or renovation or teaching and training, it's changing the way you think and trying to find ways to be better and do better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that Dash Academy and I promote for sure.
Your microphone's rubbing on something. Sorry to change the subject.
Oh, you know what? I think it was me doing this.
Okay. It's been scratchy.
Yes.
So, okay. So when you do get your YouTube channel up and running and you know the name of it, please be sure and let me know. And
Okay.
I think probably add it to the show notes. Any words of wisdom that you want to sign off on for the world at this time?
Any words of wisdom that I want to sign off
Oh,
on?
guru. Buy low, sell high. No, I'm just kidding.
uh, no, as I mentioned earlier, just um, approach this with eyes wide open. Look for the good. Look for the possibilities. Look for the opportunities. Don't dwell on the challenges, but make lemons out of lemonade.
Yeah.
Make lemonade out of lemons. Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
edit that part out?
Yeah. I probably won't. I probably won't.
Yeah. There's so much beauty, I think, in what we're seeing. It's a tragic time. It's scary. There's a lot of people that have stories that are rocking their worlds, and they're going to be forever changed. And there's a lot of grief.
Yeah.
And I don't want to minimize that. And at the same time, that's where change comes from.
Yeah.
That's where change comes from, is out of those indescribable moments of hardship and grief and sadness and fear. That's when we learn to do things differently.
It's
So
so
use
true.
the opportunity.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, this is when we learn, especially, I mean, I'm not suffering a lot of adversity at this point, and it's all relative, right? There are people, like you say, who are experiencing a feeling of hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole world as they know it is crashing down, and or they're losing people that they love, and that is I'm not there. And so it's easy for me to say, hey guys, to make the most of it. However, I have been through hardship in my life, and catastrophes, and what I thought was the end of the world, and imposed um, heartache, and as of you and everyone else on the planet. And what I know to be true, based on my own experience and everyone I've seen around me, is that there is always we always come out of it. There's always a gift in it somewhere. Even amidst the grief and the loss and the fear, there's always something on the other side that is a new normal, and maybe even better in some aspects. It's when we learn what we're made of. We learn that we can bounce back, that we are resilient. You talked about resiliency earlier, which is its ability to get back up again. And I talked about this with Catherine too last week, a bit about, use the resources that you've got, lean on the people around you, learn how to ask for help, reach out, because we are all here together. And we can do it. Yeah. So there's so much good that can come of all of this too.
Yeah. And it's so interesting how this is worldwide.
Oh yeah. And it's been interesting too, like the different cultures and how they respond. As Canadians, I think we've responded pretty well, but we weren't as concise and quick to react, because we're so focused on personal freedom and rights, right? And we'd hate to infringe on all that, and we are now. Whereas in other countries where they don't have, personal rights and freedoms, they were just sort of, welded inside and said, good luck with all that. You're on your own, don't come out, so the response, the ways that different cultures even have responded has been fascinating.
Hasn't it though? I found the same thing. I think it's very fascinating. And to add to that though, I have to say, as a Canadian, I like what I've been seeing in terms of Canadians responding.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I like what I've been seeing in terms of Canadian responding. Yes, our culture is different from other cultures. Yes, we do have leadership that doesn't want to step on anyone's toes and doesn't want to infringe on anyone's rights. And I get that. But I think the citizenship of Canada is responding well.
I do too. And I think the leadership is too. I think honestly, but that's because my values are in line with Canadian values, right? So it all really feels good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating though. It is fascinating to watch different cultures in the world.
It is. Yeah.
And different generations.
Yeah. And I'm really curious, you and I have, been teaching generations in the workplace, and how talk about being better together and appreciating one another's differences and generations. what an amazing world event to affect the next generation.
Can't wait to see.
Me too. Like, this is going to shift big time the way this generation
Absolutely.
grows and develops and evolves.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And you're living in a multi-generational home and experiencing that now, and really loving the benefits of that, which is fantastic too. So you'll get to, I'd be interested to hear how you use that in your education training.
Well, I mean, I've already learned so much from the multi-generations in our household, but even with this YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Getting feedback on
Yeah.
how to film and what works and what doesn't, and different ideas and editing and music and intro and extra. I mean, I'm learning a ton from them. We all need one another.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Good for you. I can't wait to see what you do with that.
Thank you.
I'm learning to video edit too. It's slow but steady.
Well, here's the other thing. I have a nephew that's obviously out. He was supposed to be graduating from high school this year, obviously out of school. So I've roped him into helping us with the editing. And he actually makes his own beats too. So he mixes music and makes his own beats. So he's going to throw some of those in, and he's working on some graphics for us. So keeping it in the family, but also mixing it up in terms of skill sets and generations and ideas, and we'll see what comes of it. I'm so
very
excited.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. And you and I will connect again very soon.
It was absolutely my pleasure. I always love talking to you. You and I never run out of things to say. And I always leave better for it. So thanks again for inviting me to do this. It was a really cool experience.
Well, thank you. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care of yourself.
I got to try and look at my screen here. Okay.
Bye for now.